Hello, and thank you for joining us for Hello Mayor. I'm City of Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman. And if you're like most Las Vegas, driving on I-15 or the US 95 on a daily occurrence, you have no doubt been affected by Project Neon. Today, we're going to take a closer look at how the project's progressing, as well as get an update on Main Street, Symphony Park projects that are in the works. I'm joined by our city's Chief Operations and Development Officer, Jorge Cervantes, and from Project Neon at the Nevada Department of Transportation, we have Project Manager Dale Keller. Welcome and welcome coming back to us. Thank you, Jorge.
Thank you, Mayor.
So Dale, this is really exciting. I mean, I'm not so sure it's exciting for everybody looking at the beautiful state flowers of those red cones everywhere as we tried to traverse what was the Spaghetti Bowl. But knowing it's been a wonderful act of love on your part. First of all, tell us all a little bit about your background. Where are you from?
Sure. I'm a Las Vegas native. I grew up in the south part of the valley. I graduated from Coronado High School and was involved with a lot of different activities such as football and basketball and student council. And I graduated college as a civil engineer. I had some interest in math and science, but it's funny, as probably Jorge would probably tell you, is that once you get to a certain level, you don't really use much of those engineering skills anymore. You use more of your communications and people skills. So.
See, well, obviously you were a great success in high school, and the fact that you have stayed here and helped to make our community better. I do remember at the start of this, Jorge, what was it, a couple of years? How long have we been at Project Neon when you were first on Hello Mayor with me?
So it's been about 3 years, Mayor, that the project started, but actually I got here in Las Vegas in 1998, and I recall in 1999 representing the city in the development of Project Neon. It's going through the different phases, the different concepts, going through maybe 25 different design alternatives, trying whether it's a double-decker or wide in the freeway, but I've been involved with it since 1999.
Isn't that incredible? And look where we are. It's been almost, 99 certainly. We got 18, 19 years here at it. As I was told, and I think you mentioned it, we had over 300,000 vehicles moving around through the Spaghetti Bowl on a daily basis.
That's true. We have over 300,000 vehicles today. It is the busiest stretch of highway in the whole state of Nevada. It's one of the top 10 bottlenecks on the I-15, all the way from California all the way up to the Canadian border. So the need is definitely there for that safety need and the mobility need, where we see those 3 accidents per day.
How much of the funding for this, and I know I'm just throwing you things from anywhere, how much is this being supported by the federal government with their transportation dollars?
One thing that's unique about this project is the state put the money up front. So we bonded this project with federal reimbursement at the back end. So in order to get this done sooner or quicker, the state said, let's go ahead and bond for this project and get a lot of this Project Neon complete right away.
And so the entire project's funded. We don't have to worry that we're looking for funds to complete it.
That is correct. It's a $1 billion investment. I would like to point out, though, there is a future phase of Project Neon that will create some northbound ramp braiding, but that's a long time in the future as we get done. But we're very excited for the amount of work that we're getting and the reinvestment into downtown with this project, and I think people see it as they drive through this corridor each and every day, the improvements that we're making.
You know, I hear very few, people complain, but they always say, we know it's going to be great. So how many people are employed in this project?
That's a very good question. Our main contractor, Kiewit, who's done a tremendous job today, has about 300 craft workers out there. That's workers, laborers, operators, steel workers, and so forth. If you include all the subcontractors, there's over 50 subcontractors on this job, we're looking upwards to about 450 just craft people, not including the guys that are in the trailer, not including myself or NDOT staff. That's just people working on the job.
And so the equipment, is it all owned by Kiewit, or are we supplying equipment as well in this?
It's a mix. It's whatever makes sense for the operation and duration and so forth. And that's one of the challenges that we see is if you look out there today, there's a lot of equipment in there. We try to cram as much of the equipment and people in a short amount of time because we really want to get in and get out of these corridors, especially on I-15.
Now, while some of us are sleeping, is NDOT working 24/7? Are you working all the time at night or only in certain areas and certain times?
That's been one of the challenges on this job because we do have the residential neighborhood on the west side with Glen Heather and Scotch 80s, and then we have the commercial business area on the east side of the freeway. So it's a mix, but You'll see, if you're out there both day and night, 6 days a week, you'll see work going around the clock.
And so are you on call 24/7?
If there's something that in case of emergency, but we have great staff and great managers, and we have a great team that helps associate and helps take care of that work both day and night. So
Now tell us a little bit before we get into what's planned, how it's going, and all of that. I noticed that what's been constructed more recently has fewer, less, or no pillars in the middle. So I'm sure it's an engineering feat that the expanse of the road can go at a wider distance.
that's one of the things that we accounted for in our design for that future widening and future capability from like Charleston or Alta or Symphony that can accommodate for future road widening, or even, for example, US 95. You might not be seeing those pillars coming out of the ground because a lot of our work right now is underground. So in the next few months, you'll see all these columns and pillars coming out of the ground, and you'll see the superstructures and the bridges being built.
Because I get nervous. I think the expanse is too long. Jorge, what's the city's part in this, in working at its initial stage and then coordinating it as far as knowing where new drop-off ramps are going to go and what's happening?
So the mayor, the project they're going through is mainly going through the city. It's going from Sahara up to the Spaghetti Bowl, which is all within the city limits. And so we've been very involved from the initial concept, both what should the capacity of the facility be, what should it look like, and then what are the impacts to businesses and residents in the area. Important to us is how do we enhance the access to downtown. We get a lot of folks, whether visitors or people that work here and live here, want to come downtown. So NDOT's been working very closely with us, very cooperatively, helping us enhance that access down into the downtown area and making some of the improvements in the surface streets surrounding the Spaghetti Bowl.
So basically NDOT, though, is then charged with the I-15 and the 95, and at how far south, north, east, and west? What is, I don't mean by miles, but is there a street where it stops, that the Project Neon stops work?
Sure, on the I-15, the southern limits are around Sahara.
Okay.
And on the northern limits around D Street area, where that exit is at Washington, D Street. East and west, on the west side, it comes about Valley View, and on the east side, just right there at Casino Center. So that's our main, we call it NDOT proper, but this project is a lot larger than that. Our project limits actually extend all the way south on I-15 down the Silverado Parkway, and that's with the conversion of those express lanes to one HOV lane, which stands for high occupancy vehicle or carpool lanes, and a general purpose lane. So when the project's completely done, you'll see a great change of how we commute around the Las Vegas Valley.
But at the point of this current one, which are we on time so far?
Yes,
ma'am. You expect it to be concluded in 2019 in the summer?
Yes, in the summer 2019, we'll be finished up with this project. And even better news is that by the end of this year, you'll see the improvements on I-15 completely done. So the last kind of 6 months of 2019, you'll see some work at Charleston Interchange on the northbound direction. You'll see the widening of those local streets at Alta, Charleston, and Oki, and also with the connection of the Grand Central Parkway to Industrial connection, that local street connection.
So by the end of this year?
By the end of this year, you'll see all impacts the mainline I-15 and US 95 complete and open.
Oh my goodness. So what is that going to do for us downtown access to, let's say, to Charleston? I know there's been a big change in that area, as well as on the west side, getting into our newly forming medical district.
So Mayor, the project is reconstructing the Charleston interchange completely. If you recall, that was an odd interchange in that it had kind of hook ramps to come in and off, and they weren't really right at the intersection, but kind of offset. They're building a conventional, what's called a diamond interchange, that'll have full movements from all approaches in that intersection. But in addition to that, they're creating what's called a slip ramp that'll continue. So if you're coming northbound from the Strip area, there's a corridor on I-15, and you get off on the Charleston interchange. Instead of just having to turn right or left, you can continue straight on the slip ramp that'll take you right into Alta. So now you've got a direct connection into Symphony Park, where you're going to the Smith Center, the Outlet Mall, where you're going. You've got a direct connection straight in without having to go through Charleston, Grand Central Parkway, and you can avoid that congestion and get straight into the core downtown, into Symphony Park.
Now, how about the people coming in? We have a lot of people that work City Hall or visit City Hall from the north. That are you widening? Is NDOT widening the 15 there, south of D?
Yeah, so that kind of what the driver is all of that congestion that you see there in a daily commute, both AM and PM, that we see all the time. We're helping with what we call ramp braiding and weaving, so you're not going to be stuck in that congestion anymore. There will be widening, but also will help the mobility of the second by introducing other transportation solutions other than just widening. So there'll be a tremendous impact of that southbound I-15 movement.
And are you closing anything permanently? I know there was an entrance onto the I-15 off of Martin Luther King at just south of Charleston. Is that permanently closed, or is that going to reopen on the west side of the 15?
That will reopen, but in a different configuration. So, for example, Charleston Interchange will have full access to I-15, but also we're adding numerous new interchanges, as Jorge mentioned, entrance to on and off the freeway from Bonneville, Alta Bonneville area, that people are using that Pinto on-ramp today.
Yes.
That creates great accessibility. So you have multiple options to get on and get off the freeway. And then in addition, we have this first of its kind in Nevada, which is the HOV interchange, which you exit from the center of the roadway and provides you accessibility to downtown, to the art district, or the medical district by this way of Western.
So does that mean you're going to go under when you exit at an HOV lane place? Then you're going to go down and under the I-15, or are you going to come up over it?
You'll go down and under. Very similar to where Wall Street was, if you recall where Wall Street was. So
Yes.
Wall Street is now going to be the Neon Gateway.
So I know we get tons of emails from Tony Elia, who is so nice to do that on a daily basis. Can the public access a site, a website, and see on a daily basis a change?
Yes, I think our website at NDOT.projectneon.com has great links, and also we have, for all you future civil engineers, you can check out our webcams that show the progress, and we also have some videos what the overall condition is going to look like. And also you can visit, we actually have a public outreach office, which is off of Grand Central Parkway in Charleston, and you can come and experience virtual reality goggles and drive in virtual simulators. So it's a very unique
Physically, you can come there?
physically come down to your offices and you can put the goggles on and you can see and take a helicopter tour how it looks and feels like after it's all complete. So
We are so excited about this. Now, when we finish up, does that mean the access to all suburban areas is going to be greatly enhanced and more people are going to want to move out further out because we're adding more lanes and making it easier to access? Or what is that telling us about vehicular traffic? I know you and I've talked about it so often.
So, Mayor, what we find is that when we do that, we make improvements to highway systems, and it kind of encourages more people to get on the highway because it runs smoother, to the point where before we know it, we're at capacity again. So we're finding a lot of cities around the country as a re-urbanization of the downtown cores. You're seeing downtown cores again revive. People want to live where it's closer to where they work, or where when they retire, they want to live in a downtown area where if you live in a high-rise building or a mid-rise building, kind of like Jewel, which we have downtown, you can walk out your door and walk to work, or walk down to the coffee shop, go see a movie theater. So we're seeing more and more of that. So as traffic gets congested on our highway system, you're going to see more folks wanting to move into the cores of downtown, including ours, and that's part of our redevelopment effort to how do we make it easier for folks to live downtown, but also work downtown and to walk around downtown, to make folks feel comfortable in the downtowns again.
So as you're planning for the future, and I know what good friends you've always been with Rudy Mumfabaum, who's the head of NDOT, and you were probably growing up through the system at the time. When you look at the future, and you know we have Cashman Complex, and one of the things we were doing here at the city, trying to get the Raiders Stadium to be built on Cashman, we were priding ourselves that there were 7 access points into the downtown area. So what are the new points off the 15 or 95 that have been created or will be completed that weren't there before? An access off of 95 or 15?
I can answer that. On US
Okay.
95 on MLK, we are reconfiguring MLK to its full configuration. So before it was very...
What does that mean, full configuration? Those of us who are dumb little people that just
Sure,
live
it means
here.
is we're going to widen the storage of the interchange ramps. You'll be able to push more traffic through and into downtown or into Symphony Park area as well.
1 lane at a time, or 2 or 3? How
We'll
many
have
lanes?
3. So there's actually, I believe, 3 right turn pockets on to
Wow.
southbound MLK. So it helps the flow of traffic, gets people
Wow.
off the highway and on those local streets and get the people where they need to go. So MLK is a big
Okay.
improvement by this job that will be complete. And also the
Ooh.
reconfiguration of Charleston. Once again, I can't say that enough, how big of an impact that's going to happen, and also be a great gateway into the downtown area too.
Because I know driving it now, I'm so confused what lane I'm supposed to be in. And I don't know whether in the interim Jersey walls go up or ultimately it will all just be controlled by the traffic lights. How do you keep people knowing what they're supposed to do, supposedly keeping at the right speed limit as we're doing it? When you look at Charleston in particular, just east of the 15.
I can see how it's confusing today because they're all hung on temporary light systems and so forth, but we do have a very easy and effective communication through signage and lights that help the flow of traffic and help sign how people want to go, the different areas such as either downtown or up to Symphony Park and so forth. So when the project is complete, it's going to be a lot easier and smoother. One thing I have noticed driving in, it's only really adding about the 5 to 10 minutes extra commute on the I-15. And we're working closely with the Catchment Center as well, as you mentioned, about special events, either the 51s game or the lights games that are coming in, to make sure there's easy access to and from, and we're not impeding those special events.
So how wide, any other roadway, because I do recall learning this as a mayor, that certain streets belong to NDOT and certain are city-controlled streets. Is Charleston one of the NDOT streets?
It is
for
to me.
lighting and everything?
It is, but we're actually probably this summer going to both the NDOT board and to our board to do a land swap where we take over Charleston and make it a city street, because more in an urbanized area, in a core area. In exchange, they would take over Summerlin Parkway, which is more of an expressway, freeway type facility. But some of the improvements, Mayor, that we've done in some of the surrounding streets to provide better access is in anticipation of what they're doing on US 95 and MLK. We actually widened MLK a couple of years ago to anticipate the 3 lanes coming through. You'll also find today, if you go on MLK, you'll go over Charleston and continue south, so you don't have to go through that intersection. Makes it free flow. With a long-term vision, Mayor, that we're going to extend MLK all the way south past Sahara. And so you have an ability to tie that into Dean Martin on the west side, creating a north-south frontage road all the way from the south part of the Strip to the north part of the city and downtown.
And will that be well, obviously it's city-county, but that will be NDOT? Martin, MLK is NDOT, or is that city-county managed in the future?
It'll be city-county. MLK is the city street, and so we own it all the way down to Desert Inn. That'll be there, and then from there the county will carry it over. The other improvement we're doing, Mayor, that's part of a city street project, and Dale alluded to it, was Industrial Road is going to go over the railroad tracks and tie into Grand Central Parkway. So now if you're...
And where's that going to happen?
That's going to happen as you're coming north on Industrial Road.
Okay.
You pass Oakey, and once you pass Oakey, there's a new structure that's going to be built that goes over the railroad tracks and then ties into Grand Central Parkway. So, if you're coming from the restored corridor area, you want to come into the World Market Center or to the Outlet Mall, you've got a very convenient way of doing it without having to get on I-15 or get on Las Vegas Boulevard. Just take you straight into the Symphony Park area, into those areas.
So are we then looking at synchronizing the lights once the project's complete, and then city owns or is responsible for that traffic and all that access? Synchronizing the lights then become the cities to coordinate, or do they remain with NDOT?
No, it becomes a city, but really it goes through the Regional Transportation Commission. They're the regional controllers of all the signal timing for all the valley, and so they synchronize that. But the reason they can't be synchronized right now is a lot of the infrastructure to have them communicate to each other needs to be built with the project. So as we're widening these roads, as we're putting in the conduit and the fiber connection between signals so they can talk to each other and then talk to the Central Transportation Management Center that the RTC operates, synchronizing the whole valley.
Because that'll be a big help, because I always used to be so proud of the fact that you could come down Charleston going east from way up west, and it was synchronized exactly at 45 miles an hour. But when I went to Sahara, which I thought might have been controlled by the county, you weren't that successful. So I was particularly proud of the city, even though that may be a fallacious statement on my part. But you do look, what is the most challenging part of this whole project, of Project Neon? What's been the most challenging, aside from the phone calls and nasty comments that we might make?
Those are not bad at all. It's an intricate project. It's not very unique, or I would say sexy, but it's very intricate. The pieces all need to fit together, and we got to make sure the flow of traffic still goes on I-15 and local streets, and making sure people can get to and from the work in the downtown. So I would say that's one of the most challenging pieces of this, making sure that we're building this job and keeping the flow of traffic open as we keep going.
Well, and as you look to, you said this stops basically right now at Sahara, correct? Mm-hmm. This particular project then goes up to D. There is in the future, perhaps, or definitely already looking at it going from Sahara, and how far south?
There's I guess NDOT is looking at future projects that from Sahara all the way down to Tropicana. There's been numerous studies to how that looks and feels. I know that we are going to be looking into that after Project Neon is complete, and see what happens also with Tropicana Interchange and the Raider Stadium down at Tropicana, how that all fits together.
So the timing of this, I know, when is the stadium supposed to be open? The summer of 2020.
2020.
Mm-hmm. So from an NDOT standpoint, that's a challenge.
It sure is, and we have a lot of work to do, and I know our director, Rudy Malfabon, has moved forward with some of those projects, making sure that we can have some pieces that are under construction or open by 2020.
And what about access coming back towards the city? What we had discussed having I don't know what the name is, and I keep forgetting, believe me, to access City Parkway and Symphony Park. What's happened with that? It was only on the south side of the 95, as I recall.
That's correct, Mayor. So if you're coming southbound on US 95, we're looking at trying to get a slip ramp that will come off of 95 right into City Parkway. So it takes you right into the heart of Symphony Park. Now, that has to go through several approval process. Right now it's with Federal Highway Administration. They're reviewing it. And so NDOT and the city are working collaboratively trying to see if we can get that approved and get that put in.
And if there were a timeline, I mean, I would love it done by tomorrow, but if there's a realistic timeline to get through federal government approval and environmental studies and everything else that has to happen, what is a reasonable thought?
So the good thing is that the environmental assessment has been done, and so it's been out of the way. The funding is in place. It's just a matter now of getting approval, and it's for Federal Highway now. They're looking at, they had some questions on the operational analysis, which we're trying to address, and so hopefully if we can get their approval, it can move forward. Now, as far as construction, we really want to wait till Project Neon is completed before we go in there, because we don't want to interfere with the project that's going on now, and it would be in the way of the contractor trying to do his work. And so right after Project Neon is completed, we'd look at starting to do that right away. We'd be able to do that pretty quick because it's kind of off the highway. It wouldn't impact the highway at all. And so we could build it without impacting traffic on the highway.
And that is sort of, I think you explained to me, it's where the berm sits now going east. As you come under the spaghetti bowl, there's that big high berm of dirt.
That's correct. There's that berm. So that berm would be removed, and that ramp would come down and hit right there, right across the street where the Mulaski building is. It would come right there.
To the south of that, between that and the pavilions?
That's correct.
Is that where it comes in?
That's where it comes in. Again, with right direct access, whether you're coming into the Symphony Park area, to the Smith Center, if you're coming to downtown, and now with the new convention center going at the World Market Center, it would be a direct access into that.
Wouldn't that be fabulous?
You asked what can be done now. Project Neon is doing a lot for Symphony Park right now. And it's creating different transportation choices. And Jorge mentioned the Smith Center. With that Alta Bonneville slip ramp from Charleston, you'd be able to get the different points of Symphony Park a lot faster than even today. So even with Project Neon, by providing all the traffic from the resort corridor, you have a whole new option to get the Alta Bonneville that gets you right to the Smith Center, right to the World Market Center, right to the Smith Center.
Fabulous.
And also for the movement that would be helpful for the City Parkway aspect of it, remember that's only US 95 southbound. Well, now with the new and improved MLK interchange that we just talked about from US 95, with that full capacity, that full new lanes, it provides a great accessibility right from MLK to Symphony, and Symphony just goes right into the heart of Symphony Park, right?
Well, that one, the what did you call the drop-off lane? The
just an off-ramp, slip
Off
ramp.
ramp, slip ramp. What does it do to downtown traffic with all of the ease now coming in 95, both sides, and coming in north-south or south-north on the 15? What does that do to the capacity of the streets that we have in the heart of downtown?
Well, actually, it helps in Merrick City. Look at it today. If you're coming downtown, trying to get off on Casino Center on Las Vegas Boulevard, they get very congested, especially if there's events going on downtown.
Yeah.
It provides a different way to get in downtown. So instead of coming in off of the 95 area, you can come in off through the Charleston and other areas. So it opens up more avenues to come into downtown, better utilizing some of our local streets versus concentrating everything on one or two local streets.
And so has it caused you and your team any thought about more one-way streets? I know you've been working very hard, which we'll talk about later, about Maine and the commerce and the couplet there. But has there been any further considerations of making any of the adjoining streets and access to the freeways one way?
You know, we've looked at it, Mayor, today. 4th Street is a one-way street. At one time, it was considered to make Casino Center a one-way street to be the other couplet, but we've got the bus rapid transit system run in the middle there. But we've looked at, for example, Ogden and Stewart as being potentials. So we're looking at different ones. There's options down there that as we see more traffic coming to downtown, one-way streets is a better way of handling some of that movement. So we're always looking at that.
And are you always working together as NDOT? I mean, are you sounding off each other? Obviously, there's a great deal of expertise and education and experience on both sides. When you look at, let's say, what we're going to be doing in certain areas, and we're looking at Maryland Parkway and the access, is there an exit off the 95 to Maryland?
There isn't today, Mayor. There was a longer-term plan that we looked at, US 95 from the Spaghetti Bowl down to Charleston. That's another study that NDOT's undertaking, especially with the viaduct there that's a little bit older and needs to be upgraded. At one time, we looked at a potential for a HOB direct connect coming to Maryland Parkway. Again, another way to get easier to Cashman. We also, in that plan, look at a new interchange off of Pecos. If you look at Pecos Stewart today, those are both 100-foot right-of-ways that run north, south, east, west that really aren't utilized very much. And so it'll allow for an interchange there to relieve some of the traffic off the Charleston interchange off of US 95. So all those are part of what's being looked at as this US 95 study that's going from the Spaghetti Bowl down to Charleston.
Because actually, from the heart of downtown, your very next exit going east is Eastern.
Eastern.
Right.
And then Charleston.
So that's, So, I mean, to me, it seems to do an awful lot for the development downtown, but surely what you've been doing has been exceptional work. I mean, we're so excited. Everybody was pulling their hair, as I'm sure you know. And you you live in Henderson?
I live in downtown Las Vegas.
You do?
I
Well,
do.
you certainly are punished by your own work. It's simply wonderful. We're thrilled about that. But what's been the favorite part for you? I mean, here you've grown up here, you've gotten your education, you've come back here to live, and this is major, major work for our city. What's been the best part?
You can see the daily transformation of what it was before, what it is today. And I like to say we have a great team, and the city of Las Vegas is included with the team. I think the collaboration and the can-do attitude from both the city and NDOT and our contractor, and we're all working to the same mission. Everybody's built in, and it's believing what we can do and again get it done. So that's what I'm most proud of. What I'm most excited about is that we have this great team, and more good things to come here this year and into next summer.
So will they have a development grouping gathering together for the next phase?
That's one thing we're interested in pursuing and talking about that. We do have environmental documents that we would look to maybe do a reevaluation on to account for concurrent projects like that MLK extension that Jorge spoke about. So there is more work to be done, engineering work, before we attack that.
Well, I can't thank you enough for being on. This is such an exciting time for us. Dale Keller, our project manager for Project Neon, and our own soul and blood here. It's just wonderful. So stay tuned with us. We're going to go ahead and do a little more diving into what's happening in the heart of downtown as far as our roads and development and everything. We'll be right back, so please stay tuned with us. And Dale, again, your team, thank you all. It's been fun, and I know poor Jorge. Rather than bother you all, I just call Jorge and say, please help.
Every year, hundreds of unwanted and unexpected puppies and kittens wind up at animal shelters due to unexpected pregnancies. That is why it is now Clark County law to have your pet spayed or neutered by 4 months of age. Not only will you save the money of not having unexpected litters, your pet will also live a longer, healthier, and happier life with you. Visit animalfoundation.com for more information on our low-cost spay-neuter clinic.
The Smith Center for the Performing Arts may be our gem in Symphony Park, but they're about to get some new neighbors. The city's Chief Operations and Development Officer, Jorge Cervantes, remains with me, and we're joined by our fabulous Economic and Urban Development Director, Bill Arndt, to talk about these exciting plans, or at least whatever he's able and permitted to tell us about. So let's talk a little first, if we would. We just had a discussion about wonderful Project Neon, but what we didn't get to talk about was what is happening on Commerce and Main Street and the sidewalks that I just drove by today.
Certainly, Mayor. So we've got a project that we've had underway for a couple of years now. I've started first the section from Stewart down to Bonneville as our first portion in front of City Hall, and then now doing the section from Bonneville all the way down Las Vegas Boulevard where the Stratosphere is. And with this project, Mayor, is how do we grab our streetscapes today and make it more convenient for folks that want to walk around downtown, that may want to ride their bikes, that want to travel. And so we're widening the sidewalks to about 15 to 20 feet wide in some sections, putting in trees, putting in new furniture, upgrading the lighting, so we got both lighting on the sidewalk and on the street, and certain parts down closer to downtown, the landscape median. And so part of the idea, Mayor, is not only does it make it easier for people that want to walk downtown, so with the trees it's a little bit cooler during the summer, but if you're a restaurant, you want to have outside dining, we got the opportunity to do it. If you're a studio that sells art gallery studio, you can show your wares outside. So really making it where we can bring more life into our streets, make it more vibrant. And that's what this project's about, Mayor.
Well, I know there's a concentration first, or there has been in the 18B Arts District, and driving by and through it almost daily now, you can see how inviting it is to the pedestrian traffic. Did you also say the bike paths are in on the streets there? I didn't recall seeing that.
They are, Mayor. They're on the section. If you drive Commerce, Commerce will be now one way going southbound, okay, and Main will be one way northbound. As part of the cross section, there's a green bike lane that's currently today on Commerce, because that's almost built out, and will be on Main Street as it's completed. First of all, I'd like to really thank our businesses out there, because they've been very patient with us, Mayor. Projects like these are very intrusive on businesses and people trying to make a living out there, and we really appreciate the patience they've had with us. But we'll be finishing up with the entire project around August of this year. It'll be all completed, and at that time we'll have the bike lane that's also included on Main Street, similar to what we got on Commerce Street today.
And we've talked a little bit about making it very much more visibly centered. Are we doing anything with lights, or is there any lighting or any concentration of working to make that even more significant on Main Street, where people will see it as they're walking down Charleston or going to any restaurants? Are we able to do anything?
Yes, Mayor, we've got what's called a festoon lighting, and that's the lighting you see in commercial areas, or even in your home, where you got lights that strings across the roadway, kind of lighting it up.
Oh.
And so from Colorado all the way down to Hoover, we're going to have those lighting right in the heart of the 18B district. We're also incorporating public art into this project. So as you're going southbound on Main Street, where Main and Commerce, when the two couplets converge, there's going to be a big area there. We're going to have an art piece out there, public art piece. We hired an artist a couple of years ago. He came up with this concept, and it'll be installed. And so we'll have some public art there in that corner.
And is this going to be, are you speaking of the area, Las Vegas Boulevard and Main, where they come together?
No, Mayor, this is on the south end of the project, and I believe there's a rendering that shows it here. Here we see some of the after shots of what it looks like right there, Mayor. You can see where there's says an art piece where the two one-way couplets converge together. So it's about a block south of City Hall. We'll have an art piece there. Now, on the south end, we've got something that's really, really neat, Mayor. Right where Las Vegas Boulevard, Main Street and St. Louis come together, we're going to have a big logo of Las Vegas out there, as well as two big neon showgirls up there.
Oh, I love it.
So the advantage is, Mayor, we're going to be able to program these to where they change to LED. We can change the color. So if it's St. Patrick's Day, maybe we make the sign green. If it's there it is, Mayor. If it's the Susan Run for the Cancer Run, we can make it pink. And you can see it's just an entry, a kind of a welcoming to come into downtown to the Arts District.
Simply fabulous. And I see, are those stacks of chips there?
There's stacks of chips and a roulette wheel in the middle, and so folks can get off, and if they want, get in front of them and get a picture taken. We'll have a little area for them to kind of sit there and get their picture taken with that in the background.
Isn't that fabulous? And I know we had conversation too about talking at the Sahara Las Vegas Boulevard area to make that. We have a banner that runs, a material banner that's there now. But what do we have planned there for? I think we had some other signage as well.
We do, Mayor. So that's kind of the gateway coming into the city of Las Vegas. And so we're looking at a large archway, if you will, that goes across there with Las Vegas across here. You can see it in the picture here. Originally, we're looking at doing it right at the intersection of Sahara and Las Vegas, but we've got a future pedestrian bridge there, and we're concerned that it would cover up this great art piece. So we're moving a little bit further down. We're moving down to near in front of the Stratosphere, so it'll be on Las Vegas Boulevard there, and actually work in collaboration with the Stratosphere. They're getting ready to invest a lot of money, Mayor, into that property there. And so we've been meeting between our designers and their architects to collaborate how we can do this. This archway is going to be 80 to 100 feet in the air, so it's pretty massive.
Wow.
Same thing, LED lit, so we can change colors as we need to and make it programmable. Kind of a welcoming into our downtown.
Fabulous. Welcome to Bill Arndt is what it is, your downtown that you're creating. So tell us, I know we've just had a city council meeting and approved something so special, and we're back on the road to total build out and recovery. Tell us what's going on at Symphony Park.
Well, Mayor, we're really excited, and I appreciate Jorge and all his work downtown, because with our roads and our streets and sidewalks, it's about placemaking, not just getting to downtown, but once you get there, it has to be a great place, a great destination. So we're really excited. We have some great projects that have just been announced. As you know, at the very last council meeting, we announced a brand new downtown convention and exposition center at the World Market Center, Las Vegas. And what's really exciting about this is I like to think of it as World Market Center 3.0, where we initially launched the business. It was a business for the home furnishings industry and the gift industry. It survived the recession and joined forces with North Carolina, so it's all one business. I call that 2.0. But now with 3.0, they're building a new 350,000 square foot convention and exposition center, which will be available year-round for conventions, meetings, and expositions, primarily targeting conventions that are not already coming to Las Vegas. And this is huge. They're estimating, based on a study done by Applied Analysis, Jeremy Aguero, that the facility will be used as many as 260 days a year, which is going to have an incredibly positive impact for spending and visitors to downtown. So really important to get this going, and we anticipate it getting underway and under construction later this calendar year.
And what do you see about those beautiful pavilions that are also owned by and operated by the International Market Center?
So the existing campus is very important to downtown. The World Market Center has 2 meetings a year, one in the summer and one in the winter, called Las Vegas Market, where they have the home furnishings industry. That convention draws, just that week alone, each week, 50,000 visitors.
Wow.
And it's so big that they can't fit inside those 3 large buildings, so it spills out into the pavilion tents, which is essentially overflow space for those week-long shows. And so once the new facility is built, that will take the place of the pavilion tents. So the pavilion tents will go away when it's finished, which we're projecting in about 3 years, and then we'll have a permanent facility. Again, not just for the home furnishings industry, but also for year-round shows. So this is really incredible for downtown. We're estimating that roughly 41% of all the visitors that come to the campus, either for the furniture show or for the new shows, will stay in downtown Las Vegas. What that means is our downtown hotels, which are already starting to take off and performing better, will do even better. Midweek occupancy will go up. Room rates will start to trickle up. And what that means is it'll mean new hotel development downtown as well.
Well, I know we have a lot of our hotel ownership now going into expansion building. There's going to be over the porte cochere of the downtown Grand is planning a tower, is that correct?
They're planning an expansion. It won't be a tower, it'll be mid-rise, but they're planning about a 6-story expansion above the porte cochere.
And more rooms, right?
And more rooms. And then that'll all be more rooms, so not more gaming, more hotel, because where they're really seeing the growth is people want to stay downtown.
Yes, well, I don't blame them. Look at this effort that's happening here. And what about, do we have any news from the Stevens brothers about the now raised Las Vegas Club? Is anything happening that we know about there?
Well, it's changing day to day, week to week. I know that he's just Derek Stevens is just finalizing his plans for the old Las Vegas Club at 18 Fremont Street. So we're still waiting to see when that would break ground, but obviously he's spent a lot of time and money already investing in the demolition and readying that site for development, and just now starting to come in with the initial plans. So stay tuned.
All right, on that one. And I know, Jorge, back to you on the Ogden Underpass. I know because Derek and his brother have purchased the northeast end of Symphony Park, which abuts the Ogden Underpass. What are our plans there for the city in addressing that?
So, Mayor, we actually just awarded a contract about a month and a half ago. They're going to start construction the next couple of weeks. We're going to widen those sidewalks. Right now, those sidewalks are only 5 feet wide. It makes it kind of difficult. We're going to widen those sidewalks and really upgrade the lighting under. As you get into the underpass, you're coming from a real lit area into an underpass that's darker, and sometimes it's difficult to see. So we're going to really light that up, make the sidewalks a lot wider, put some railings so it's protecting the pedestrians going through it, and make it a lot easier to get from the Symphony Park area into the core downtown.
So is it possible, have you had conversations that you're at liberty to say with the Stevens brothers as they plan? It's called PQ. It's the PQ piece on the north end of Symphony Park, what they've got planned there for accessing into the heart of the Fremont Street properties and things?
We haven't seen any plans for what they're going to do with that property, Mayor, but what we did when we conveyed the rights to that property, part of the agreement was that when they build their parking garage on the east side of the railroad tracks, that they provide a pedestrian bridge connecting over to that parcel that they acquired in Symphony Park. We haven't come to an agreement yet on the alignment, trying to figure out what the best location is, but part of their project, they were looking at building a pedestrian bridge to connect it over. So now you've got a way to go under the railroad tracks and a way to go over the railroad tracks.
So that's fabulous. And I know at one point we were talking about, I think on Bridger, maybe having a bridge go over from east to west and west to east. But that now, because we're going to maybe, or possibly, we discussed it in the last portion of the program, this drop-off ramp onto City Parkway.
That's correct. That particular bridge we're not pursuing anymore, Mayor. It just was creating too many conflicts out there. We've got better access coming off of 95 now directly in Symphony Park through that City Parkway off-ramp.
So, now that everybody seems to know all these exciting things, what else is happening on Symphony Park that you're able to tell us?
Well, we're really excited, Mayor, and maybe arguably the most important thing for downtown right now is getting more and more people to live downtown. And so we're really committed to that as a city, and through our redevelopment agency, we're investing in downtown, particularly with residential and new housing. We need to get more quality housing downtown. We have two great projects coming up in Symphony Park. One is Southern Land, which is a developer out of Nashville, Tennessee, saw that downtown is resurging and people want to live here and move to downtown. And so they're working on building new Class A apartments in the heart of Symphony Park, immediately across the park from the Smith Center. And you see a couple renderings there on the screen. And so this will be over 300 units for Class A apartments. And it really set a new standard for living downtown. We have some great condominium projects that were built prior to the recession, and some of those during the recession became rental units. But because the economy is picking up again, a lot of those condominiums are going back on the market now as for sale units.
Such as Newport Lofts, Jewel, Ogden.
Correct.
Some of them.
And all those are the Ogden, correct. And so what that means is the rental pool downtown, particularly the quality rental pool, is shrinking. And so
What
it's
about,
really our job to
I
get
don't mean
more
to
units.
interrupt you on this because I know we have another project, but 9th. The apartments that that Tony Shea really has been masterful in helping to bring forward. Those are going to open in the spring, I understand, late spring, on 9th and Bridger?
Right, so that project's called Fremont 9. It's off of 9th in Fremont. and is going to be also apartment units aimed at working professionals. So if you look at that project together with the Southern Land project, and then another project that we're working on, Aspen Heights, which is an Austin, Texas-based developer doing another 300 units in Symphony Park, just east of where the other developer is building. If you look at those three projects together, you're looking at about 850 or more new apartment units in the heart of our downtown.
And mixed use, right? There'll be restaurants and other
and
offices.
mixed use, ground floor retail, restaurants, cafes, things like that. But really setting a new standard for downtown living, where this is the kind of housing you'd expect to see in major cities across the U.S. So it really catering to the working professionals, and that's really important for us in our downtown to get more working professionals who not only want to live downtown, but their jobs are downtown, and that means they can do it all downtown, work, live, and play in downtown.
Well, what's so wonderful about our staff is we all work together all the time, and I know Jorge is very proud of the infrastructure that's already in place. Is there a great deal more to do in Symphony Park?
There is, Mayor. So certainly, you know, we've got these developments coming in. There's some additional roads we got to build out there. We build them as development comes. And so with these two new projects coming in, we're doing some additional road, some drainage improvements out there also, right parallel to the railroad tracks that's going to start construction, and then two new parking garages that'll service not just these new residential area, but also the expansion of the convention center across the street. And the reality, the factory outlet mall has a parking problem. They've been so successful that so many people come. Their parking garages are at capacity, and so we're building a couple of garages to be able to service all those needs that are out there in Symphony Park.
Well, that's why I want everybody to ride the loop. It's a free turn. Hopefully we can service the garages too. But the second garage you're also working on, Bill, as I understand, with the University Medical Center. A shared garage facility that's going to go up on the east side, the west side of the I-15, a garage there. But I think we missed something. Or am I not allowed to talk about a little boutique hotel that might be planned?
You can. So
Good.
one of the things that we're seeing with the resurgence in hotels downtown, combined with the convention center that's going to be expanding and getting going, is an interest in new hotels, not just gaming properties, but non-gaming. So we have a partnership and a feasibility agreement with Jackson Shaw, which is a national hotel developer based out of Dallas, Texas. They have local ties. They built the Renaissance Hotel, which our viewers might be familiar with, is directly across the street from the main Las Vegas Convention Center. So they know Las Vegas. They have experience in building hotels here, and they're working on building a new 3.5, 4-star hotel, full-service hotel, immediately in front of the Smith Center. If you picture between Grand Central Parkway and the Smith Center,
Yes.
literally at the front door of the Smith Center. And they're looking at about a 450-room plus hotel, which would be a full-service hotel to serve not only the convention center across the street, but guests coming into Symphony Park, whether they're visiting family at the Cleveland Clinic Loureveau Center for Brain Health, whether they're just coming into downtown for business or for pleasure. Getting more quality hotels downtown is important, and a non-gaming hotel to really diversify the hotel offerings that we have. So
The only one that's or in our permissible state is that north end at the Stevens Brother for a casino hotel, correct?
Correct.
Anything else could be a hotel, but no casino base.
correct. That's the only gaming hotel that's permitted or entitled for gaming in Symphony Park. But everything else will, in Symphony Park specifically, will be non-gaming. But that non-gaming hotel, I think that's a real positive sign that the market is telling us that people want to come downtown and stay downtown.
Well, and of course, because Project Neon, the things we've been doing through our community physical development and infrastructure, I mean, it's going to make it so much easier for people to walk along, get along, ride along, drive along, hopefully not too many cars, but the garages that we need. What's happening? Anything on the planning boards yet for Cashman? I know we've been tremendously successful with the joint venture between the 51s and the Las Vegas Light lights, and that Brett Lashbrook has gone ahead and taken that field and made it into a soccer field, and then promised to convert it back for the 51s. And I just heard this morning what a remarkable job the maintenance crew out there has done, that the stadium for baseball is as fine as could be. And so our thanks to him. But what about any thoughts, any interest there for either temporarily or permanency to Cashman, and how it's connected again with how the access?
Well, a couple things there. First off, I want to echo your sentiment, Mayor. We really want to thank the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, who've been a great partner managing the convention center and making sure that the facility is top-notch. It is an older facility, but the field is in great shape both for baseball and soccer, so I want to thank our partner there. But specifically with respect to baseball, they're moving forward now on their new plans for their new stadium out in downtown Summerlin. They've let us know that this would be their last full season, and they're working on trying to get into the new stadium for next year. The soccer team is having great success, and we all knew it would be a success. They're looking to put additional resources in to try to continue to enhance it as a soccer facility. And so now we're kind of at a turning point where we're going to look to see how can we continue soccer at Cashman, but maybe open ourselves up to new proposals to expand the facility for soccer, new mixed-use development. Certainly want to try to continue to support our soccer team, the Las Vegas Lights FC, but we all know that Cashman is a great asset in the heart of our downtown and could be something even more. So we're going to be looking for ideas in the coming months on what more things can we do with Cashman, whether it be additional soccer facility, mixed use. Sports medicine is something that's very sorely needed in this town now that we have all these professional teams operating here. And so we really think there's a bright future for Cashman.
But I know adjacent to it is our Boneyard project, the Neon Boneyard, and knowing they're out of space. What are the thoughts, Jorge? Is there any place for them to expand to? Where is it possible? And as more and more of these signs are donated to the Boneyard, what are the thoughts? And I know you've worked very hard on the medians to go ahead and place many of these iconic signs from old Las Vegas.
So a couple of things we're doing, Mayor. Actually, they came by and met with me probably about a month ago with the same concern that they need more space and looking at opportunities, whether is there an opportunity to expand a little bit into the Cashman parking lot or the properties adjacent to it. So as part of what's going on in Cashman, we've got a project that's going to be widening Las Vegas Boulevard from US 95 up to Cashman with a very wide median that's going to be very landscape and lush and wide sidewalks. With that, there may be some remnant parcels that are left over that widening where they may be able to expand to that. So just south of their property, they may be able to make their yard bigger. The other thing we're working with them is we've got a project that we're starting to develop along Fremont Street that we're calling right now Project Enchilada. You may have heard of it. And so what it is, it's about grabbing all those hotels, motels that were along there and bringing them back to what they were back in the 50s, 60s, at least the facade of it, doing a facade improvement to bring them back to there, but also an opportunity to create some of these signs and bring them along the corridor there. Some of the original signs that were there, can we rehab and bring them back to their original state? And so we're working with the Boneyard on some of that work also. And then as you mentioned, Mayor, we've got what we call the Signs on Sticks program, which is grabbing these old signs and put them along the median on Las Vegas Boulevard. We've done about 6 or 7 signs. We're down to about Bridger right now. We're getting ready to do from Bridger down to probably around Hoover with an additional 3 more signs, and eventually all the way down to Sahara. So as you're driving into downtown, all along the median, you're going to have all these old neon signs. We're famous for neon. And so you're going to have all these neon signs that are going to be reestablished down the corridor.
And what do you hear about, is anything going on, and I sit on the RTC, so I'm sort of asking you a question I may know an answer to, about multimodal light rail on Maryland ending up at Cashman to help that area?
So we've been working for a couple of years, Mayor, on a light rail line that would start all the way from the south, from just outside of the airport, go through the UNLV property, come down Maryland Parkway into the core of downtown, and actually out to the medical district. One of the important things about this line is now you connect the new medical school in the medical district with the UNLV main campus through a light rail system. And you come through downtown, coming down some of our streets where We're going to see redevelopment of residential. You talked about the Fremont 9. We see a whole lot more of that occurring in that area around these stops for the light rail. And this light rail also is going to have the opportunity that, depending on what happens in Cashman, we do another spur that continues up on Maryland Parkway and services the Cashman site. And so a lot of opportunities. The intent is try to see if we can get this project under construction around 2019, 2020, and have it operational by 2022. That's the current plan for the Maryland Light Rail.
And boy, does that help the progress for Cashman and everything in the area. Or Reed Whipple. Any plans for Reed Whipple at this time? That's an old building, I know, and mostly theater arts in years past, but anything going on with that right now?
I think the main thing, Mayor, with that area, we're really trying to make sure we get it right the first time. So we're looking at all the land that the city owns, with not just Cashman, Reed Whipple, but land even across the street from Zappos. How do we plan this in an organized way? We pursued Amazon to come here. We didn't get them, but we think that having 75 acres plus in the heart of our downtown for new development and expansion is kind of the next frontier after Symphony Park. So we're master planning that all right now, and we're certainly working with Jorge to make sure the improvements in Las Vegas Boulevard can accommodate all that new growth.
Right. Well, with all the new roadways that we're getting here, it seems reasonable. But the old use of Cashman, housing that more family residential type of convention, those are ones that certainly could go into the Expo Center, correct?
Correct. So the Expo Center will serve those shows. We did get a commitment from the World Market Center team that they'll make Cashman available for civic and community events, so they'll sponsor those. But it's going to be new shows as well. So that really gives us opportunity to keep Cashman, the old convention center, closed because we have a newer, bigger facility, and we can really repurpose that for new things. So that really kind of opens the door wide open for new ideas at Cashman.
Well, and I know that the management, Bob Marasich from World Market, and their team had spent an awful lot of time with our hotel owners downtown, making sure they weren't replicating unnecessary convention or visitor meeting space. And that really is complete because we do have the Stevens Brothers does have the, as a unit, they have the entertainment block there, which I understand is going to remain, at least in the near future, as an outdoor entertainment facility. Is that correct?
That's correct. Special events are real important for downtown. Life is Beautiful, all the events that Derek does at the Las Vegas Events Center with concerts and live performances, really important as well. So we see that for the foreseeable future, but eventually we would expect that to be developed as well.
And now, being a passionate follower of all those cute little boutique restaurants downtown, 7th and Car. I mean, there's so many of them. They're so wonderful. The Thai Eureka opened a couple of months ago in the old Emergency Arts building. It's great. And we do see how wonderful it is. And we hear from the members of the El Cortez. Everybody's just really so excited about the changes. And what do you see? You see things continuing to be bullish down here?
I see continuing, Mayor. We used to have a saying, if you haven't been to downtown in the last year, you haven't been. Well, now it's really the last month.
Isn't it?
With all the new restaurants and all the new things that are happening.
And to say nothing of the premium outlets, was probably the most popular, if not the most frequented outdoor mall in the country. But when you talk about their garages being at capacity, I was saddened to learn they were going to begin to charge, and maybe it was because they had too many people coming. But knowing how that we're going ahead, are our garages going to get started soon?
We are building 2 new 500-plus space garages in Symphony Park. We're going to get breaking ground here in the next few months by the summer, and so that'll help provide parking. And I would say for the Premium Outlet Mall fans, my understanding is they're not going to charge locals, just out-of-state guests. So certainly encourage all our listening audience to continue to shop there as well.
Please come on down. And may I tell you, we're so grateful that you are watching and care enough about your city. We have the greatest team here. We have so much information to share with you as things change. Jorge Cervantes, I have known for several years because, as you may know, Oscar was mayor before me, so I've known him that long. And he's always at the top of his game and does everything so well and connected so well. And Bill Arndt, I'm being told to hurry up and get get off. So Bill Arnden, our head of our economic urban development, you are so lucky to be watching this show because Las Vegas is fabulous and such fun. Thank you for watching us, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next Hello Mayor. Have a safe and good time.